Hey, I'm Jake Newton with CPPS, the center. Check us out at cpps.com. With this video, talking about travel risk management, specifically, what do you need in a policy for this program? If you're unfamiliar with CPPS, we're your partners for addressing workplace violence and helping you also build out capacity for holistic travel risk management program. We're known for building strong programs that are comprehensive, standards-based, and done so in a manner that really provide an effective means to maintain the safety and security of the people that you're responsible for protecting. So let's get into this video talking about a travel risk management policy. A policy, again, you've probably heard me say this in other videos if you're familiar, but a policy is the cornerstone of the program. It's what we're trying to accomplish, the strategic end state. So the high level issue of what we're trying to accomplish, and at a basic level, how we're going to do that. What does that look like? So specifically for a TRM policy, of course, we start off with the purpose and scope like many other programs. Who's going to be responsible for it is another thing that we want to have clearly identified. But what are we trying to accomplish with business travel and specifically the risk management aspect of that? Trying to maximize that ROI and trying to maintain the safety and security of your people that are going around the world. So we're providing for that. And then of course, who does that apply to? And clearly addressing who the scope of the policy is for. Once we get beyond that, we get into the core aspects of a policy. Now, a critical element of this is not to confuse a travel risk management policy for a business travel and expense policy. They're different. The travel risk management policy specifically deals with those risk management aspects. It's very important and actually a standards-based issue. If you haven't read it or if you're not familiar already, check out ISO 31030 or 31030. It's the prevailing standard around the globe for how we address the issue of travel risk management. And there's actually considerations in there that I'm talking about now for what to include in the policy. So let's get into the specific details of here. Well, one of the big things that we need to outline is what our travel risk assessment process is. Now, there's various tools to do this, but from a policy, we need to outline that generally speaking, as part of our program, we're going to assess travel risks around the world that we might experience or that we might be up against so that we can have a means to mitigate or address those different issues. Now, there's kinds of two elements of this. We have a general capability as part of the holistic program on an annual basis, and then there's an individual aspect of this when it's, say, for specific trips or for specific regions, but outlining the high-level criteria of what that looks like. From there, we get into specific risk mitigation measures or risk management measures, if you will. How to avoid, mitigate, or respond to specific risks, what that looks like from a programmatic position. And here's a few examples. We're looking at personal travel and off-duty travel as it relates to business travel. What are we doing or how are we addressing what we like to call bleisure in the policy? What about restrictions for multiple people traveling together? How many people can be on one aircraft, for example? What the pre-travel authorization requirements are. If certain people are going to certain places around the world, what are the authorization requirements for that to occur, and specifically for whom within the organization? We need to address the traveler competence requirements. Is there a certain requirement of training or a certain competency that people need to have from a risk management standpoint to take care of themselves, particularly on behalf of the organization? And then, of course, getting into high-risk travel requirements, whether that's increased risk based upon the individual information that they may have access to or the geographic region that they're traveling to, having the requirements that we're expecting of high-risk travel so that we're looking after those trips and ensuring that they are able to be accomplishing what we're setting out to accomplish with them. Then a couple other things. Insurance requirements. Are you having insurance or not? Are you going to self-fund everything? Some companies can do that, or some organizations can do that, but insurance is a pretty strong capability. Is there requirements of the travelers addressing those considerations? And if there's exceptions to all of these things, what does that process look like? Providing for some sort of an exceptions process so that people, when deviations need to occur, there's a capability for that to be done so effectively. Last couple elements of this is, of course, when people are traveling around the globe, whether domestic or international, having a means for reporting. When people are dealing with different issues, maybe they have certain things they need to report to your travel management company. Maybe certain things go to a travel assistance provider. Maybe you have an operations or global security operations center and you want all of the communication to funnel through there. What are those reporting expectations you have of your travelers? And then making sure that they are familiar with each of those. And then of course, some other administrative things like reference other applicable policies. Have these things be part of the same, but ultimately this policy we want to be standalone. That's a best practice. We want this thing to have all of this information captured within one, so there's that ease for the traveler and for those within this program to be able to manage this information. So those are the key nuts and bolts that you want for a travel risk management policy. Again, once you get that built, then you have different plans and procedures that kind of implement this program. But this is that core information you want to have outlined in a high-level policy to maximize your travel ROI and ensure that your people going around the world are able to keep themselves safe and look after the benefits and the requirements of the organization while they're doing so. So reach out if you have any questions. If you want to check out more information like this, go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter, cpps.com. There's a way you can subscribe there right on the home page. But for now, thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers.